Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about World Autism Awareness Day. I am Dr. Suresh Badadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. In this video, I'll be discussing about World Autism Awareness Day. What is autism? Why should we observe this day? And what is my role in fulfilling the objective of this day? United Nations General Assembly unanimously passed a resolution. In this resolution, they said 2nd April will be observed as a World Autism Awareness Day. As the theme of the day says that World Autism Awareness Day, that means this day is celebrated so that everyone become aware of this autism, so that we can highlight the difficulties, the challenges posed by our so-called normal society to the persons with autism. By becoming aware and educated regarding autism, we can improve the quality of life of persons with autism so that they can lead and get integrated into the mainstream society. Autism is a lifelong neurodevelopmental condition. Some of them say it is a neurodevelopmental disorder. Many of them say it is a lifelong mental illness, mental disorder. But at this point of time, I would prefer to call it as a neurodiverse population. It manifests in the childhood, irrespective of gender, race, or socioeconomic status. However, the male children or the male gender have a predominance of having autism, that is 4:1 when compared to females. As I mentioned, autism was perceived with the different lenses. Earlier it was considered as black magic. Later it was considered as a mental illness, mental disorder, neurodevelopmental condition. Now it is considered as a neurodiverse population. That means they are the variation of normalcy. They are not mentally ill or mentally disordered. People with autisms, their brain grow differently. That means various parts of the brain grow in a various, maybe we can consider it as some parts grow very fast, some parts grow very slow. That differential growth may be the reason for the autism. But at this point of time, it is the combination of genetics and the environment play a crucial role in development of autism. The triad of autism means it is the people with autism will have challenges with regard to social communication, social interaction, and social imagination. Some of them also say they have difficulty with regard to 3 R's. That is rigidity. They cannot deviate from the normal routine. That means they are highly predictable. If there is a small change in the routine, they become very, very disturbed. They are repetitive. Abnormal movements are seen, or stereotypic movements. Restricted affect. They find it difficult to communicate their own needs, communicate their own emotions, or else they are finding it unable to decode the emotions of the other. They have even restricted hobbies. As I mentioned, restricted social interaction. These are the pathognomonic signs of autism. But however, autism is very difficult to diagnose in children because autism starts from the childhood. Although autism is difficult to identify before 24 months, however, by the end of 1 year, if you are able to focus and see, you can appreciate some of the children who are developing autism can be observed. The early signs and symptoms of autism is the absence of normal behavior, then having abnormal behavior. That means at the end of 3 months, the infant recognizes his or her mother and then smiles. In autism, the social smile will be missing. That means here the absence of normal behavior indicates towards autism. In some cases, The earliest symptoms can even be misinterpreted as a good baby. Since the infant is quiet, it is independent, undemanding, both the parents are very happy. Let's discuss the early signs and symptoms of autism. The earliest sign can be considered as the child will not have babbling, the child do not make any eye contact with the mother or the other family members, they do not have eye following the objects. These kids will have difficulty in mixing with other children. They find amused or attached to certain objects. They hate being touched. They do not smile when the mother or the family member smile at the child. Inappropriate laughter or giggling, echolalia, no more than few words at the end of 1.5 years. These are the early signs and symptoms of autism in children. Autism are very difficult to diagnose in children. They are often misdiagnosed, like they are suffering from schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, schizoaffective disorder, mental retardation or intellectual disability, OCD, ADHD, and so forth. But as the children moves into the adolescent, you can see pathognomonic symptoms. Some of them may have developmental learning delays, that is, SLD, difficulty in communication, difficulty in social interaction, attachment to unusual interest, difficulty in understanding emotion, over or undersensitivity to light, sound, taste, or touch, repetitive movements or behaviors, trouble with transition to various places or various part of the life, recurring sleep problems, and insufficient impulse control. These are the symptoms which can be seen in adolescents. People with autism are unique. Let's understand what are these unique signs and symptoms which can be seen. Autistic people are highly dedicated. They are focused with their interest. Autistic people are straightforward and direct. They do not have any manipulative behavior. They don't tell lie or cheat people. They are very, very straightforward, direct, and highly predictable. People with autism have high attention and concentration. They focus on even minute details and they appreciate these minute details. Autistic people might be more likely to feel content and happy when they are left alone. Autistic people are likely to be reliable and committed for their work. That means in this world, autistic people can be believed, trusted, and they are one of the best workers if you are able to hire them and take care of them. Autistic people may have exceptionally good awareness of themselves and others. Autistic people may be very sensitive to sound, smell, light, and various other special senses. Autistic people, they focus on facts. They do have very little understanding about emotions, or their decision will be focused on the facts, not on emotions. Autistic people are likely to be more accepting and welcoming to the differences and may challenge the norms. Autistic people have a different way of thinking than the normal population. Many a time, they find solutions for the various challenges thrown at life. With regard to World Autism Awareness Day, one need to understand they are unique and each person with autism are different. That means every person is unique with regard to autism. Persons with autisms are different. They are not mentally ill or mental disorder. Although they have been classified under ICD-11 and DSM-5. The reason for them to be classified and diagnosed His main reason is based upon this, the insurance is given, disability certificates are given. At the same time, the legislation accommodating them need to define what is autism so that the equal opportunity and also equal participation can be ensured by a right definition. Without that, it is very difficult. Although many people who are working in autism hate to be diagnosed to be suffering from mental illness, mental disorder. I do understand their point of view, but at this point of time, if a person with autism needs to be given priority, that means under the law they need to be defined. Hence, many a time we diagnose them as autistic disorder, although we may consider as inhuman, but the requirement of the law is the need. They may have a serious problem in one or two areas, but at the same time, around 10 to 15% of the persons with autism are gifted with amazing abilities. It may be artistic, it may be drawing, singing, or decoding the musics. Autism is not a linear way of understanding about the seriousness. There is nothing called as mild, moderate, or severe autism. It is a spectrum of ability. And this spectrum of ability depends upon the environment, my dear friends. Autism, many of them say it is mild, moderate, severe. According to Adam Walton, he says, mild autism doesn't mean person with autism experience autism mildly. It means society experiences their autism mildly. Society will never know how hard they have to work to get to the level they are to be accepted in the society. Persons with autism are different, as I mentioned. They are unique. They see the world differently. They focus on every detail which they like. They focus their attention. They are interested in that only area. That means they have their interest will be very narrowed. They feel the world differently. They have reactions to the sensory inputs such as light, sound, taste, or smell. They process the world differently. They think and process the world differently. That we need to understand. That means they are unable to relate the world as we so-called normal people relate to the world. Although autism relate with the other autistic person, they relate to the world from their perspective. Although we are majority and we call ourselves as a normal, invariably autism is also variation of normalcy, my dear friend. Autism has been diagnosed many centuries earlier. Although the word autism may not be there, there has been evidences to show autistic people having various artistic skills have been noted and have been documented. Persons with autism are different and unique. They are out of the box thinkers. They are the odd one out. That's the way the society puts across to them. Since they are odd, since they are unique, they are not normal. Invariably, the society rejects them, bullies them. Many of them are severely abused, shamed, outcasted, thrown away, discriminated, and stigmatized, my dear friends. This is what the person with autism feels in the society. Person with autism have to struggle every minute, every second to fit into this world, so-called normal world. They have to mask themselves, they have to camouflage, they have to coerce themselves, they have to force themselves, or they have to fake, or they have to pretend to be normal. We don't allow them to be as unique as they are. This is the world we call it as normal, my dear friends. The people with autism do not harm anybody. Unfortunately, there are few films which have shown autistic people are dangerous. This is not so. Autistic people live in their own world, in their autistic world, you can call them. But they are also human being. They need to be integrated into our society. And they need to fit to our society, is the question we need to ask. Or can the society be flexible? Rather than asking them to be flexible, is the question we need to ask to everyone. Being autistic affects every part of their life. They have to fit in to our society. They need to prove themselves. They can't be unique. We refuse to accept the diverse population, my dear friends. There is a tremendous impact on the individuals with autism. They feel alienated in this society. Their families are isolated. The communities stigmatize them and discriminate them. Family members carrying the autism have a huge economic burden. They get burnt out very easily. They are depressed, isolated, withdrawn. Feeling of guilt for giving birth to an autistic child is enormous. Think about this. Let's understand the prevalence of autism. One of the important study, which is a review of 4 prevalence study done in India, was published in Neurology in India in 2019. The 4 studies included in this systematic review included the population of 130,599 children screened for autism, and the pooled prevalence was 0.09 to 0.1% in children between the age of 0 to 15 years, my dear friends. But however, at this point of time, we know prevalence of autism and autism spectrum disorder is 1 in 89 children, that is around 0.5 crore population in India. But they are invisible. Why they are invisible? Because the society do not accept them. People with autism are kept away from the normal society. The family members of persons with autism isolate themselves. They lock these kids inside the room because we do not have schools for autism children. So-called normal school refuse them. Teachers do not understand about autism. They refuse to keep these children with so-called normal children. This is unfortunate. That means we do not have inclusive society. Inclusive education is far thought about this. Let's understand about autism and comorbidity. Unfortunately, autism do not come alone. The people with autism, 85% of them will have one or the other comorbid medical condition or mental illness. Such as autistic children usually develop depression. Some of them may have ADHD. Some of them may have ODD. Some of them will have anxiety, Tourette syndrome, OCD. Some of them will be highly gifted. Some of them will have SLD symptoms. Some of them have sensory integration disorder, auditory processing deficit. That means autistic children go through a hell, my dear friends. Not only they have to fight with their comorbidities, they need to fight with this world also. Around 1/3 of them will have intellectual disability. 25% of them will have epilepsy also. That is the reason we need to celebrate and observe World Autism Awareness Day and make efforts to include them in our society. We need to have unconditional acceptance of their uniqueness. We need to provide appropriate support to the families who are caring for autism. We should not force them to fit into our society. We need to accommodate their behavior. We need to accept the neurological variation which is occurring during the development. Let's understand, autism is not an illness. They are a diverse population. That means variation of normalcy. We need to train them so that they are able to earn their livelihood. Now the question comes, is it autism curable? Because many of the parents want their kids to be normal, and because the society labels them with a mental illness. Let's understand, they are not different. They are human beings. It is not a mental illness, hence it is not curable. That means they are the variation of normalcy. They have the differential brain growth, that is neurodevelopmental condition. The brain neuronal connections, wiring, functioning is different. Hence we need to train them to function in this world. However, many of the thugs, I can call them, are using so-called stem cell therapy for autism. And it is sold at the cost of 2 lakh to 10 lakh. Unfortunately, parents of autism are selling their property, selling their future, selling their jewel, whatever the land they have, to give a future to the child by approaching this stem cell therapy. Let me be very clear. There is no so-called stem cell therapy which has been proved effective in autism spectrum disorder, my dear friend. Recently, in January, National Medical Commission and also Indian Council for Medical Research has clearly said that there is no stem cell therapy is been advocated for autism or autism spectrum disorder. National Medical Commission has made it very clear. If any doctor advocates for stem cell therapy, means it is a professional misconduct, my dear friends. Do not exploit poor parents. Then what is the answer for autism? Education. Every person in this globe need to know about autism. Public awareness is very important. We need to have an inclusive education so that children with autism also can mingle with other children. We need to respect their uniqueness. We need to educate the other children. That means the persons with autism are unique and they are special. We need to provide treatment for their comorbidities. As I mentioned, 85% of the autism children will have comorbid condition. Behavioral management, at the same time occupational therapy, rehabilitation, and we should never forget to support the families who are caring for autism. And very important is we need to accept the way they are. We need to make friends with them. Friendship should be with the terms and condition of the person with autism. It is not that they have to do this, then only they will be our friends. That's what the society thinks about. We need to make suitable changes in the environment so that the person with autism fits into our society. Accommodation is the answer. Inclusive education, inclusive workplace, and inclusive society is the answer for autism. Being different is not easy, my dear friend. As I mentioned earlier, if you are different, you will be bullied, you will be misfit, you will be outcasted, you will be abused, you will be rejected, and many a time you will be asked to leave the group. That should not happen. They can be like any other person. We need to accept them. They are unique. We should not treat them badly. That should be one of the important lesson on this World Autism Awareness Day. Everyone can make difference on this World Autism Awareness Day. Talk to the person with autism. Interact with them. Include them in your circle. They are unique in this diverse universe. Don't force them to fit in. They are human with a different ability. Respect. They are different, my dear friends. And I'm very proud of our own Sanskrit phrase from the Maha Upanishad. It says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means the world is a family. And person with autism is a part of our family, my dear friend. And G20 presidency is India is leading. And here Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam clearly means one earth, one family, one future. That is future for everyone. We do not want to leave anybody behind. Thank you for giving your valuable time. Stay safe.